Hi and welcome to the iLearn channel, where we're going to provide you with all the motivation, inspiration, and tools needed to become the best version of yourself. And today's topic is sleep. If it is you want to perform at your best, both mentally and physically, sleep is very important. And for a student, success in school relies heavily upon how much sleep and how good your sleep is. You see, for a student, sleep is very important because of the role it plays in creating memories and learning. Let me explain. How we learn and create memories is via a process called memory consolidation. Now, memory consolidation is when we turn short-term memories into long-term memories. And the process by where this happens is in our brain, there's something called the hippocampus. And now the hippocampus, complicated word, but really the hippocampus is what transfers short-term memory into long-term memory. However, the short-term memory transfer into long-term memory only happens during sleep, specifically REM sleep. Now, what REM sleep is the deepest phase or type of sleep that we have. And so if it is that you're not getting enough sleep, then you won't be going into REM sleep. And if you don't get into REM sleep, then your hippocampus won't actually engage, it won't turn on, and it won't transfer your short-term memory into your long-term memory. This is why when it is you stay up late at night or you cram before an exam, you get short-term memory, but after the exam or a few days later, you realize that you can't remember anything that you actually studied. Reason being is because you didn't go into REM sleep, and so your hippocampus did not have an opportunity to turn your short-term memory into your long-term memory. And that is memory consolidation. So that's how we learn and create new memories. But what happens if we're not getting enough sleep? If we aren't, we start to feel anxious, irritable, and moody. And worst yet, we might have trouble concentrating or learning new skills. Now, if any of these sound familiar to you, it may mean that you're not getting either good quality sleep or enough sleep. But luckily, we have some tools that are going to help you get a good night's rest. Now, the first tip, and probably the hardest, is to stay away from screens before bedtime. Now, I know this is hard and to some, maybe even impossible, but light has a very important part to play in our sleep cycle. Let me explain. The reason why bright screens affects our sleep is because way before technology, before light, before artificial light rather, the human body only had the sun and the moon to tell the difference between when it was time to be awake and when it was time to be asleep. So because of that, our body adapted to learn that the outside light determines when we should fall asleep. How this works is in our brain, there is a small part that is called, and it's a long name, the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Now, the suprachiasmatic nucleus here is what determines when we fall asleep and when we wake up. And what it uses to determine that is light. So, our eyelids, our eyes, get information about how much light is coming in. And when there is a lot of light coming in, we'll just use it for now, our supranucleus. Our supranucleus stays relaxed and stays dormant. When the light starts dropping and it starts to get late at evening, our supranucleus starts to realize that, and it realizes that it's nighttime. What then happens is it sends a message to the rest of the brain to start to release melatonin. Now, what melatonin is basically, we can just call it the sleep hormone. What happens is when our brain starts to release melatonin, our body starts to relax, our brain starts to relax, and we start to feel sleepy. And it is what affects us and what causes us to fall asleep. However, in the morning, when more light starts to hit us through our eyelids, our supranucleus recognizes that and recognizes that it's daytime. So what happens is it sends a message to our brain to stop releasing melatonin, which causes our body now to start waking up, to start feeling active, and for us to ultimately wake up. And so that, and this part right here, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, is what governs when we fall asleep and when we wake up. Now, how this gets complicated because of bright screens is at night, when we're supposed to have only a few rays of light coming in, and for our supranucleus to realize that it's night, we, because of bright screens, have more light coming in. And so our nucleus doesn't think that it's nighttime and doesn't think that it's time to go to sleep. So it does not start sending out melatonin. This is why you can lie on your bed with your phone or your laptop or your tablet and spend online for hours and not feel sleepy. Because your suprachiasmatic nucleus, as I said, just a simple supranucleus, doesn't think that it's actually nighttime and it doesn't think that it's time to sleep. So it doesn't start to release melatonin. Hence, if it is you want to stop this and you want to actually fall asleep at nighttime, fall asleep at your bedtime, when it's actually bedtime, you need to limit the amount of light that is actually coming in through your eyes by limiting the screens and by turning off the lights. This way, your brain realizes that it's nighttime, realizes that it's time to go to sleep, and will start to release melatonin. So that is why staying on your phone late at night is one of the worst things you can do to get a good night's rest. Secondly, exercise during the day. Exerting energy and getting ourselves tired during the day would allow us to fall asleep easier and have a better night's rest at the nighttime. Now, while that cup of coffee or glass of Coca-Cola may taste good, they both have caffeine. And caffeine is a super stimulant that once it's in our body, is going to prevent us from relaxing and falling to sleep. Bodies love routines, and developing a nightly routine before bed will help tell our bodies that it's time to sleep. And that way, when we turn off the light, it will be much easier to actually fall asleep. Now, this nightly routine should have at least two things: some calm, relaxing activities, such as reading or stretching, and secondly, a specific time where you turn off the lights and go to bed. Having a specific bedtime that we stick to every single night is one of the best ways to help our bodies learn to fall asleep and get a good night's rest. So, there you have it. Sleep. It's very important, and the fact is it feels good. But in order to get good sleep and get enough sleep, we have to take matters into our own hands and do certain activities that ensure that when we turn off the light, it's bedtime.